Hi, my name is Sriracha. Yes, like Sriracha, the sauce. And today I wanted to record a video about a vulnerability that I implemented or like I missed in an app I'm building and how to fix it. The vulnerability is called IDOR or insecure direct object reference. So this means that if we look at the documentation from Portzwigger, which is a very good source, an insecure direct object reference are a type of access control vulnerability that arises when an application uses user supplied input to access objects directly. So in the example that they show here, what they do is something called horizontal privilege escalation, which means basically that from a user with the same rights, so to say, as a similar user, you can access the information from user A, you can access information from user B. And this is basically what I had in my app. So I've been building this app for a few months now. It's a speed dating app, and here users can log in and check other people and press or like select interests and get rounds and matches. So I'm gonna log in with the test user. So we have Alice, okay, and you can see Alice can see here like the interests. So this is everyone that attended the event. This app, so these events are hosted in person, but the app helps us match people together in rounds. I can show you the app a bit more. There's no rounds yet because I haven't published anything. But what is important here is that every user has a profile. So here in Alice, you can see some of her information, who she's attracted to, a bit of her bio and contact information. So normally users, they can only see the contact information of people that they've matched with and not everyone. And here you can also edit the profile, right? Something like this. But with this vulnerability, basically what you see here is that I have, I'm in the profiles page and then I have IDs here. So if I change the ID, I can access Bob's profile, which like in itself depends on how you implement the app or what you want to achieve. You could also say like, hey, I want to see people's profiles. But in my case, I can also edit Bob's profile. So like if we go back, for example, to Alice, or well, see as Alice, I can, or I should be able to edit my profile, right? But if I do it as Bob, let's say this was the ID 3 and then I click on edit, suddenly I can also edit this person's profile. So I can say, okay, I'm now attracted to non-binary people and gender fluid, and I can save the changes and they're saved. So this is something that shouldn't happen because as Alice, I shouldn't be able to change Bob's profile. And why is this happening? This is happening because in the code I wrote, I built this app, or I'm building this app in Rails. I didn't implement the policy. So if you see here, for those who don't know anything about Rails, basically Rails follows convention and we use the model controller view. So in this case, the model basically defines the, so to say, the objects. The view shows it, like you see here, and then the controller takes care of all the action. So if you see here, I have a profiles controller and I have a show and edit and update function that have no policies, no restrictions, nothing. So I can basically, anyone can see, anyone can edit the profile, right? And this is not what we want, this is a problem. So how do we fix this? In Rails, there's a gem called Pundit. So Rails gem Pundit. And with Pundit, we can create authorization systems. So we use two gems in Rails. One of them is device for the authentication. So authentication means who are you? And Pundit, we use it for authorization. Authorization means what are you allowed to do, which are two very different things. So in my application, I implemented authentication. So I can log in as Bob, I can log in as Alice, but I didn't implement authorization. So that's why I can change Bob's profile from Alice's profile. So let's see how we can create or fix this vulnerability. So first, what I need to do is that I need to create a Pundit policy. And for that, I'm gonna come here to my Rails project. And here you see a folder called policies. So here I'm just gonna create a new file and I'm gonna call this profile policy.rb. Okay. I'm gonna make this, yeah. And what do I need to do here? So I'm gonna call it, profile policy. It inherits from application policy. Okay, so we have a class. And then for each, let's see, profiles controller. So we had this controller, right? So for each of these functions, the show, the edit, and the update, I need a reference function here. So for show, right, you're gonna say, okay, who is allowed to see this this profile, right? In the way we're implementing this, or for these events, we don't want people to see other people's profile unless they match. So now if I refresh, I can see that I have some rounds, right? This is taking from like the interests the person puts in. And then once they have the rounds, we can publish matches, which means like, okay, this person, both people liked each other. We have two types of matches, social and romantic. And then that's when you can see the actual, the description, and what's more important is the contact info, right? I mean, the description you can also see in the rounds to have a bit of context from the person. But this is the important part, right? We don't want people seeing the contact information from other people they're not comfortable with, and we don't want people editing people's profile. So in this case, for the show action, I don't want other people seeing this. So only unless I'm the user that profile belongs to, I shouldn't be able to see this. And also the admin should be able to see everyone's profile, right? Because we need to be able to check things. So unless I'm the admin, right? Or the user is the record. So this means that the record is basically what's being looked at. So unless this is validated, right? We're not able to check the profile. We did something similar for the edit. Edit. So for the edit, I only want the actual user to be able to edit their profile. I don't want the admin editing. This can be changed later. And for the update, it's kind of the same. Okay. So once we have the policy, right, we need to wire it into the controller. So in order to be able to do this, we need to go to the application controller. Application controller. Okay. And then here we need to include Pundit. So I'm gonna include Pundit authorization. Okay. And so we want to rescue from Pundit not authorized error with user not authorized. So basically what I'm doing here, oops, I'm missing syntax. So basically what I'm doing here is that I'm including Pundit in my application, and then I want to, so I'm creating a method, private method. So like when the user, or like when we get a not authorized error, we're gonna basically flash a message like you're not authorized, user not authorized. So we wanna flash an alert, and this is something it's already implemented, alert in my application, this flash messages, not authorized, we set, right? So we have a message here, and then we are gonna redirect back to, and then here the fallback location, which is gonna be the root path. So the root path in my case is the interests. No, sorry, I think it's profile. Let's see, routes. Root, it's the interest index. So we're gonna redirect to the interests. Okay. So once we have this, what we need to do is use this in the controller. So basically with this line, we're allowing, or like we're making Pundit available in the controller. And with this one, we catch the error, right? So the application doesn't crash, and the user has a clean experience. So now I'm gonna go to the profiles controller, right? And here, where this was empty, we're gonna call the policy. So we authorize, and the record is gonna be the user. So this is basically what we're gonna pass. And the policy class is gonna be the profile policy, right? So we're gonna do the same for the edits, and we're gonna do the same for the update, right? So once we have this, right, we can check back here. So we're still logged as Alice, and then let's see if we can see this profile. Okay, so you see we cannot see the profile, but we get into an error because we don't have this translation. So here in the application controller, we wanted to send a message, but we haven't yet added a translation. So I'm gonna go and here, let's see if we have the flash. So we said it was flash not authorize you are not authorized to perform this action, right? This is the message we want to send. So now if we refresh here, let's see. And flash not authorized. I have a typo. Authorized, right? Like this. So now if we refresh, you see we have this message, right? You're not authorized to perform this action. And we got redirected to root, which root in my case is the interests page, right? And I'm gonna do the same for the Spanish file. So here, flash. So we're gonna add the same not authorized, and then tienes permiso para realizar esta acción. Okay, so now this looks good. And then what's more important, so we checked, right, that the show is not working for people that are not the user that's been logged in. But we also want to check that the edit and the updates don't work anymore, right? That if I go up, edit here, sorry, not with Alice, we need to change the ID. You're not authorized to perform this action. So yeah, that's about it, how I would do it. Now I would need to change my tests so they pass, because I have a couple of tests that now are wrong. And yeah, I would also like to summarize a bit the key takeaways. So like I said, we're using two different, let me create a new. So we're using two different gems. One is device, which is authentication, right? And the other one is Pundit, which is authorization. Authentication means who has access to stuff, right? Who are you, right? And Pundit is what are you allowed to do. So there are two different things, right? And that's where the vulnerability comes up, when like we don't use authorization properly. Okay. So this vulnerability, IDOR, it's like if you want to read more on it, I would recommend Portsphere is very good source, and also OWASP Top 10 is a very good source. Actually, the example they have here is also a Rails example, and it's one of the top 10 vulnerabilities. So always be careful in your apps and check this. Yeah. And in this case also, because I'm using Rails, you saw that like the way Rails handles policies, it's very easy and quite intuitive, I would say. So you only need to add it to your application controller. And then basically for every controller you have, so in this case, I added a policy for my profile controller or my profiles. If I wanted to add a policy for another thing, like for example, the interests, I would need to create another policy file for that. And that's about it. So thanks for listening, and thanks for checking my first video. And if you have any comments or whatever questions, please feel free to comment down below. I'm gonna leave a comment with the GitHub repo and the PR so you can check it out.